Hey guys, welcome to today's flip video. Today we're looking at something quite cool to do with our science project, which is all about collecting our own bacteria or germ samples from around the school. So would have had a bit of a chat about where you're going to go get your samples. So now you're up to the next stage of collecting them. And we're going to use this thing here. This is called a petri dish. And the petri dish has something quite cool in it called nutrient agar. And bacteria and germs love growing on this stuff. It's also sterile. And sterile means that there's nothing on here to begin with. So the only thing that can grow on the inside of this is what you put there. All right. So we're going to use this to collect our bacteria samples. All right. So once you've decided where you are going to collect your bacteria samples, you're going to head off with a petri dish. Make sure you've got a glove on. And you'll also need a cotton swab. You will need to make sure that this does not touch anything. If this touches something, you're obviously going to start collecting bacteria from places that you do not intend to take them from. So you need to make sure that this stays nice and clean. All right. When you're ready, say my example might be I'm going to collect some germ samples off the keyboard. Okay, so I'm going to just wet the tip of this cotton bud. So I'm just going to slightly run it under water. What that does, I don't want it dripping wet, so I'm going to shake it off. But what that does is allows the bacteria to stick to the end of this cotton swab. So I will then rub it all over the keyboard, and then carefully, I'm using a glove so that bacteria doesn't get on my hands if I'm choosing a really disgusting place. And then I'm going to take top off the petri dish, and I'm going to create an S down the middle of my petri dish. So I would just touch it on top of the nutrient agar and create an S all the way down my petri dish. That there is ready to go. Now it's really important that because we've just rubbed it on a dirty place, that's going to go in the bin. Then we're going to put the lid on and seal it shut. When bacteria starts growing on this, it's going to get quite nasty. So we're going to use sellotape, and we're going to tape all the way around the edge to seal all the air in. And that's for two reasons. One, we don't want any other bacteria getting in there. And two, we want the bacteria growing in there to stay there. All right. Once we've done that, we're then going to label it. So grabbing a permanent marker, we're going to label on the bottom the date and also the location that we took our sample from, so that we know for sure whose sample that is and when it was taken. Okay. So that there is all set to go. Now what you might want to do is actually collect two samples on the one petri dish. That is absolutely fine to compare the two different places. So it might be on a dirty hand and a clean hand. That might be the experiment you're doing. If you're doing that, grab a ruler and just draw a line straight through the middle, so that when you collect your samples, you're going to put one sample on this side of the line and the other sample on the other side. And then you compare the two together. All right? So that is how you're going to collect your samples on your petri dishes. Once you've sealed it all in, labeled it, bring it to me, and we will store them away and talk about how to store them safely.